Hey everybody, welcome to Goshen Prepping. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to talk about medical items. As a physician, I was an EMT for 10 years. I know there's a lot of things that we could get that become useful, obviously even vital in case crap hits the fan. So you want to be able to stockpile a lot of these items. In fact, some of these items I'll show you, you want to get as much and many as possible. And right now, Black Friday sales are going on. You can actually take advantage of that to stockpile a lot of these items. So we're going to go through the whole list, all 12 of these. All of these are very important. Stay through all of them. And then I have one quick note at the end of the video too. All right, number one, first are tourniquets. And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to give you a little tidbits about each one of these things. Tourniquets, you can use all kinds of stuff for tourniquets, by the way, like a belt. It's not the most amazing thing. You can actually use like nylons and stuff. The biggest things you want to be careful of is like if you use like paracord or rope, it'll dig in the skin more. That's not what you want. But you can buy pre-made tourniquets like this one right here. These are absolutely fantastic. And back when I was an EMT, we didn't have them like this, but these are nice. It has an instruction on here. And I've actually had a follower say, could I show how to use one of these tourniquets? You bet I will. But go ahead and pick one up and then we'll go through how to use it. But these are nice because, by the way, you always want to put the time you put the tourniquet on there because there is a certain amount of time before blood flow starts degrading the tissue and the tissue will start dying. But you want to have one that actually has the little windlass tool so you can tighten it up and, well, there's a lot of stuff to it. So anyway, I'll put links below for all these items. Make sure you have a tourniquet. That's number one. Now, number two, 4x4 gauze pads. Now, I will tell you right now, you can buy 2x2 gauze pads and you can buy 3x3 gauze pads, and those goes on. Just get 4x4s. That's all you need to get. And buy bulk. So here is a giant Ziploc bag, gallon-sized bag. I have full of these. Why? Because I buy these in bulk too. I actually got this giant pack at a yard sale. I got a few of them for next to nothing at a yard sale. And it was so cheap. But anyways, buy these giant packs of 4x4 gauze pads. Don't even worry about getting the smaller stuff. Just get the big ones, and these will last you for a long time. Next up, which is not truly a medical item, but it's a menstrual pad. Menstrual pads work great. They soak up blood and basically work very similar to the gauze pads or the 4x4 gauze pads. But the difference is obviously these will soak up a lot more blood and actually help it coagulate too. So something that's not a medical device, but will still help. Number four is an Israeli dressing. I went ahead and popped this one open. I'm not going to go through how to use this just yet either. I don't know. I actually have a whole video devoted to just Israeli dressings. These things are amazing because when we talk about dressing like on an arm, that's one thing. But the way this wraps around and holds it securely, wow, what an amazing invention. So I'll put links below for there's different sizes of these too. In these ones, you may want to pick up a few different sizes, unlike the gauze pads, just get by 4x4s. Next up, number five, over-the-counter pharmaceuticals, over-the-counter drugs. I have small bottles here. But I'll be honest with you, I don't buy the small bottles. These literally sit on our shelves. I mean, we do on occasionally take some, but I don't like taking even over-the-counter stuff anymore. But what we do is we buy the mega giant bottles of these, the giant bulk ones. And then if we ever need to, which is like pretty darn rare, and this gets empty, we'll just take the bigger bottle and pour it in here so it's actually easier. But honestly, some of the health risks and heart risks that go along with taking these over a long period of time, especially if you're looking at taking too much of it, which people think that since it's over the counter, it must be like candy. Obviously bad news. So I have that on there for over-the-counter medications. It doesn't have to be pharmaceuticals like painkillers or anti-inflammatories, but it could be anti-diarrheals, itching, anti-allergies, all kinds of stuff, obviously, whatever you and your family like to take. Now with that, obviously you want to stockpile number 6 too, prescription medications. Me and my family, we don't take any prescription medications. We take 2 million supplements. Stockpile those too. But here's one for Jace Medical, which if you're not familiar with Jace, they're antibiotics you can get. And that way, if crap hits the fan, you have these in the last couple of years in these bottle form. Now, the way it works is you get a hold of Jace, and there's a link below for Jace, by the way, so you can do this if you want to. And they actually have physicians on staff, and they'll have a quick medical screening to see if it's something that you need to, if you qualify for it. And you do have to pay out of pocket for it. Now, the difference is if you actually get a prescription for these, it's probably, depending on the prescription, going to cost you nothing. But if you're going to pay out of pocket for these, obviously it can get quite expensive. And Jace doesn't like overcharge per se. We did a price-by-price comparison for each of the bottles. And if you went to like Walgreens and paid for it, or if you buy it from Jace, it's like $20 more getting it from Jace. But you get a nice teal bag that goes along with it. So there you go. But that's not it. The problem is a lot of people have prescription medication, have insurance, which will normally cover it. But Jace is great because at least you can get them from Jace, where most people can anyway and qualify. So contact them and see if you qualify and possibly pick up a bag or two of these Jace pharmaceuticals. Number 7 is a dental kit. And I've talked about my dental kit. I use my dental kit. More than anything, this is mostly going to be for probably dental hygiene, but it does have things like the mirror, and it has like the little scrapers. I'm not a dentist, I'm making up terms. But there is actually a little cheat card in here that tells you what everything's for. And of course, you can go along with some videos on YouTube to be able to handle your own dental needs in the future as well. All right, next up, so important, is an automatic blood pressure cuff. So I have an automatic one right here. I simply just got one from CVS, the drugstore, a long time ago. It works very well. With the automatic ones, especially if you have just a wrist cuff, make sure you follow the instructions, because if you have your arm too high, too low, if you're standing up, etc., it will change the readings on these. And that's something obviously you don't want to do. But I have an automatic one, but I'm going to go ahead and add to that list. Instead of just number 8, an automatic one, we also want to look at having a manual one if you know what you're doing in taking blood pressure. Even if taking my own blood pressure, I don't use my automatic one. It's my family wants to use it, great. I use my manual one. But going along with this, number 9, you're also going to want to have a stethoscope. Now, even if you are not versed in using a blood pressure cuff, a stethoscope comes in incredibly handy. You can listen to someone's heart, obviously, see what's going on. You can listen to breath sounds, lots of different things you can do with a stethoscope. This is a little bit more expensive one. It's a Littmann. I have like a Littmann Cardiology and a few different really good stethoscopes. Having a good one, by the way, makes a really big difference. But having one is better than not having one at all. So make sure you have a stethoscope to add to that list. All right, next up after stethoscope, gloves. Now, not only buy your latex gloves, or a lot of people now buy the vinyl gloves because some people are allergic to latex, but I implore you to get some sterile gloves. This is size 7.5, which fits my hand. So if you ever need to do any type of sterile work, like suturing, and of course the disclaimer is you're not a physician, don't do suturing. But crap hits the fan, you may not have any choice. So have some sterile gloves too to be able to handle things that you need to take care of stuff. And then second to lastly, I should say, are some EMT shears. These are amazing. And I'll be honest with you, this is something I buy in bulk too. I have one in every car. I have one in every kit. I have them all over the house. Even if you don't want to use it just for medical, these things are amazing. They'll cut pennies in half. They're super strong, super versatile, and they're simply just amazing when it comes to any type of shears or scissors. So pick up some EMT shears. All right, so that does take us to number 12, books and references. Because that's the thing is, as a doctor, I do have Swiss cheese brain. I don't remember half the stuff anymore. So having reference manuals, even when I was like in the ER, I had reference manuals, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like you still have to memorize everything. But having reference manuals works really well. So I'm going to show you a couple of those I think you should pick up as well. And if you've seen our channel for any amount of time, you've probably seen me reference these manuals before. But Dr. Alton, or as he goes, Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy, have this survival medicine handbook. And look, it says when help's not on the way. This thing is amazing because here's when it comes to being doctors. We are worried about getting our butts sued. And being on YouTube, if we give out advice, and it's especially if it's wrong advice, but somebody uses that advice, they don't know what they're doing, they get injured, you could be liable. And Dr. Alton is like, you know what, I'm going to show you what to do, but this is if crap hits the fan, if there are no more doctors, if help's no longer on the way, then you can use all the stuff here. This book, I came across an older version years ago and picked it up. And since then, I got this one. When I met Dr. Alton in Tennessee, it was just a pleasure sitting down and chatting with him and Nurse Amy. But it has everything here when it comes to how to be able to take care of medical problems, which, because going to medical school, it takes a couple years. I would always tell you to take an EMT course if you possibly can, because there's so much stuff you can actually pick up from an EMT course, and it's all about life-saving stuff like hemorrhaging or choking, etc. But anyway, I would absolutely pick up this book. I'll put a link for it below. But the second book I would recommend too, if you have medical training, is the Special Operations Medical Handbook. Wow, this book is fantastic because it actually goes through, look at the fine print on here. You need a doctor just to get glasses to read this because it is chock full of incredible detailed information, which for a layperson who knows nothing about medicine, this is probably going to be a little overwhelming. I'll be honest with you. But if you have any medical training at all, this might be one you want to add to the list. It's not expensive. You can always pick it up anyway. 2 more books. Of course, I showed you the dental kit. Where There Is No Dentist. This book talks about what to do as far as handling situations like it's been done in third world countries forever when there's no dentist available, how to fix things. And then lastly, from Dr. Alton, again, Alton's Antibiotics and Infectious Disease, because when it comes to prescription antibiotics, this book really tells you basically how everything is done and taken care of, because even though antibiotics are done by prescription, sometimes some people get antibiotics through other means, and this tells you all the different antibiotics and what they're used for and stuff. Fantastic book. So 4 books to look at and a lot of gear to look at. Anything I can, I'll put links below. But I'm going to ask you, of course, put in the description below what you would add to this list, because obviously there's so many things medically we could add to this list. But at least for these 12 things, these would be the very basic essentials I would stock up on a stockpile for crap hits the fan. And thanks for watching.